Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast, head of NRL Supercoach Round 15, proudly brought to you by Mortgage Choice SCW. I'm your host, Tim Williams. The second major buy round has arrived. Injuries have hit. Suspensions have hit. Sammy Walker is back. It has caused carnage to NRL Supercoach. Here to deal with it this week, as always, 2019 champion, Dezzy Creek. Dezzy, how are you?
Not too bad. Probably slightly under par this week. I got about 13-10. Which I think was probably about 70 points off the pace. I got stuck with Lehigh's 2 points and didn't have a backup hooker, which you warned me about. Didn't listen to you, but
glad you brought it up, mate, because I wasn't going to.
It really didn't come together. And then I had Brendan Takura go down as well. Dylan Brown had 19 points, and then of course Tamale as my AE for 3 points, who actually counted into my 17 because Lehigh's 2 dropped out, Tamale's 3 came in. So we got a net 1 point there, but yeah, it just didn't come together. And Cleary captain, of course, didn't do anything.
I want to really have a go at you for the whole enough hooker thing and being bitten in the arse, but that was a week where just everything that could go wrong did. Dezzy, to pull 13-10 under those circumstances, you've done very well.
Yeah, well, I guess everyone else just kind of went well. We spoke about holding Drinkwater last week on the show. A lot of people sold him and regretted it. I know Walson sat him on the bench. Couldn't believe that.
Walson's too smart for his own good at times.
But yeah, I mean, it made sense. Melbourne and Melbourne. It's not an easy matchup, but they're just not the defensive juggernaut they once were. So yeah, everyone else kind of scored okay. I thought Ola Kawatu went really well. Fletcher Sharp, these guys they all stepped up when I needed it. But yeah, I think I fell only about 300, 400 spots, so still up there in the top sort of 3,000. But yeah.
If that's a bad week where everything goes wrong, mate, you can deal with that and bounce back. So fingers crossed. Also with us on today's show, hasn't been on the show for a while, but random stats guy. How are you, Rando?
Well, obviously I've gone bad. That's why I'm on the show, because there's a rule that Timmy doesn't put me on the show if I have a good week. And this was my worst score in the last 7 weeks. Everything was coming up Rando, and then fucking hell. I saw Lehigh go down. I didn't get him. I'm laughing. I'm having a laugh. Then I see Nathan Lawson go badly, sucked into everyone who brought him in too.
Yeah.
And then it just starts going from bad to worse for me. Like nothing absolutely happens whatsoever. My halves flake, Hines 48, Brown 19, Cleary captained, who I brought in for the week. Just thought him against the Tigers, thought he would just go off. Nope. Second rowers did well, but everything else. Damien Cook, when Tui Pilotu went down, who would have thought he was the backup backline player, and he ended up getting 35. I thought he might have gotten the assist at the end, but obviously that's not how it works. So, I kind of got shafted. I finished with just shy of 1,200, but honestly, it was a terrible week. When I was projected to get 1,350, and I was happy to have that, it was just awful. And I knew as soon as I got the score update, Timmy messages me and says, "Got time for the pod this week, mate?" And I'm like, sure, absolutely sure. So there, that was my week. Pretty rough.
I swear there is just no lineage or anything between you scoring poorly and me asking you to come on. In the last 3 to 4 times you've come on the show, a few this year, a few last year, and every week. I remember even earlier in the year, and you came on, you'd had a stinker. The week later, when you weren't on, you went huge. And I
went from, I was 50,000th, and then I came down to 7,000th, and then this week I dropped back to bloody 12,000. So all that good news.
After a slow start though, mate, you are back on track.
I'm back on track. I'm back on track, and
right. Also with us today, absolutely as always, Matty the Waterboy. How are you, mate?
I'm good. I didn't go terror. I didn't have a great week, but my 2 trades in this week were Lehigh Hawaii and Nathan Lawson. So a combined score of, I think it was 19 or 20 between both of them, which was a shocker. And just seeing, I was at the Rag and Famish on Sunday Arvo watching the Tigers-Panthers game with one of my best mates, Daniel Hahn, who he is a few thousand spots ahead of me. He's going pretty well, but we both had Lehigh in, and we both had Tom Jenkins sitting on our bench, just watching Penrith versus Tigers, and just looking at least we had each other to kind of wallow in our sorrows. It was it was a bloody tough watch. I'll tell you that.
Oh, Tommy Jenkins. I'm also a Tommy Jenkins owner. I did not play him, but I'm very happy to have him to bank that cash there. For myself, started out with that Thursday night game and playing my first season of local basketball, pretty social sort of stuff. Nailed my first three-pointer of all time, first and last time I'll ever take a shot from outside the perimeter, so thank you very much.
No worries, all good.
Missed the start of the game. Actually, for the first time in about 4 years, missed team lists in the final hour cutoffs because of basketball, and everything rushed up on me. I just went, oh shit, what if someone's out? And I just had my phone exploded with the Lehigh stuff. I just went, what has happened here? Checked it and just went, that's just setting up the whole round. Fortunately, the Stallions a good week, 1,472 points. So talk about a week being a long time in NRL and in Supercoach as well, Dezzy. We were sitting here a week ago. I was in free fall. You were doing the opposite. You've had a tough week. Stallions back on track, went up about 1,600 spots, so 2,000th basically on the dot. So much better after a few down weeks and absolutely needed that one. As I said, no Tommy Jenkins in the team, but held him and we'll bank some cash there, which is a nice one. Guys, on today's show, Team List Tuesday, Supercoach pointer, Sammy Walker returns. Hugo Savala, he's the big winner. The big loser, Sandon Smith. Our major topic for today's show, looking at Nathan Cleary, whether to hold or sell, and the potential replacements for those that are selling, and just our general plans at halfback moving forward, because of course Jerome Hughes, he's come into the mix a little bit next week as well after the Storm bye. Rando, you'll have a stat deep dive for us with the best matchups this week. Hot topics for the week, is Jermaine Isaako back to his best, or are we chasing last week's century? Our round 15 trade and skipper plans, and then listener questions. Daniel Tupou, the potential super pod this week. Guys, if you're sitting here thinking, geez, we're looking good, or Rando in particular, I dare say, we have had listeners asking for an SC Playbook merch drop for a number of years now. We finally pulled our fingers out and got it done. Our very, very first SC Playbook merch drop coming very soon. T-shirts available in navy blue, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. Also have them in white. They'll be in limited supply for our first drop. As I said, had them in the works for a long time. We fine-tuned them. We're very, very happy with them. Wanted to get them right for the first launch. If you like what you see with them and you want to support the platform, you can do so by jumping on and grabbing a T-shirt. More details for this to come in the next couple of weeks. Guys, also putting a call out to local level rugby league. We're looking for videos from local level league. It might be youngsters, it might be seniors, whatever it might be. We want to support it and get the videos out there and put them up on our social channels. We love doing it. We've had a couple in recent weeks that have gone gangbusters, and we just love the particularly the teams in the areas getting around their side. So if you have any good footage or video from across the weekend each round, flick it to us on our social channels or just email us at supercoachplaybook@gmail.com. That's full word supercoach. And if we like it, we'll put it up on our socials. At the end of the season, we're going to give $500 to the person who enters the video that we like the most. Get them up there. Lastly, Unlimited League winner Momax, coached by Jack, is into first overall. So good stuff from Jacko taking the top spot. And Isotopes, coached by Matty, topped the week with 1,631 points. Alrighty. Boys, before we start and get into TLT, just a reminder to Supercoaches out there, we get 3 trades this week. A boost is not counted in that one. You just get the extra free trade being the major buy with half the team on the buy. It's only your best 13 scorers that count towards your total score. Players in the extended squad for the Blues and the Maroons, Keelan Koloamatangi being the main one, will be available at club level. I'll start with you, Dezzy. How many numbers do you have on your side this week at this stage, and how many are you aiming to have?
I think I've got 11 right now, but one of my trade outs is going to be a player who's playing this week, who's Gutho. I'm going to be sending him to Teddy, so...
Dezzy's early trade plans.
Yeah, well...
No need to hold back, mate.
Well, the scorers are really fucking over Gutho. There's I was talking to you about it in the green room a little bit, but he wasn't given a line break that he so clearly got. I don't mind, when Spice sits here and talks about the try assists, when there's 2 sweepers or when there's a tap on, it's a bit more subjective, but when they're missing line breaks, that's what irks me. And another one, Kikau he got a line break. He ran about 5 meters and got tackled by a cover defender. It just wasn't a line break. They're getting it wrong right now, and it's pissing me off. It's pissing me off so much that I've sworn for the first time in this podcast in about 6 years. So Sort your fucking shit out, Fox Stats. What are they doing? Seriously.
I was about to say, I've never seen you even in the slightest bit flustered, Dezzy. I was going to say it before you did. You've never dropped an F-bomb in 6 years of SC Playbook. You were just chomping it. You've been chomping at the bit since the weekend to get that off your chest, weren't you?
Oh, I was fuming. If people want to go and watch it, obviously we can't play it on this podcast. It's I've posted it on Twitter at Des Hasler, and someone posted the kick out one below in the comments. They were just really poor. I wasn't happy. Yeah,
I'm like more forgiving than most. That I think they do a pretty good job, and people see stuff and go, oh, like that's not right, that's not a try assist, or this person should have got it. For the most part, they're right, but they do have some barriers because it is not completely objective and it's not black and white a lot of the time, and a lot of it is subjective. I like it because I think it is the best rewarding, but I certainly see how people get annoyed with it at times. And the Guther one, it was a line break and he was robbed of it, and the kick out one, it wasn't. Simple as that. So they got it wrong, mate, and it is frustrating, but unfortunately nothing we can do about it.
Back to the topic.
You're right, mate?
Yep, back to the topic.
Good?
Yep. So Gutho's got to go. They're not scoring him particularly well, so he's going to Teddy. So, 2 other trades. I'll be probably trading out my...
Save him for the end of the show, Dezzy.
Yeah. Well, I'll be trading out my injured players,
How many numbers are you looking at having this week?
I'll be having 13.
Oh.
13 on the dot.
You happy with that?
I think it's good enough, yeah.
Oh. Rando?
I've got 13.
Hard act to follow there.
Yeah, very hard act to follow. I'll be swift here. 13 and looking to make it 14 because I am missing a 6 at the moment. And unfortunately, my current 6... he ran into a ref and is now out for a week or so.
All our sixes.
Our sixes.
Buy into now missing that. Like that week for Dill Brown that you'll miss, it's looking like a tricky week, that many buy around. So to lose him 2 weeks on not this week, obviously, but that round 16.
I mean, and it also stops the spread. I think it's 46 consecutive weeks in my team. So big loss there, big streak loss for Dill Brown.
For myself, I'm currently sitting on 12.5. It was 13 prior to trades. Sandon Smith named on the bench puts a bit of an asterisk on him and his minutes. Look, I think he's still very important to that team and he'll come on. I mean, I'd love a late change for him to start, but not ideal. We'll get to him shortly, but 12.5 pre-trades, and I'll look to use probably 1 to 2 and get sort of that 14, 15 sort of mark. The important one this week, though, guys, is to stay flexible. So if there are some trade targets, particularly in the back end of the round that you like, and your team's going well up into like the second last sort of game or last game, and you go, I want to trade someone in the final game of the round, but your team's scoring well and you've got a player or two dropping out already, you might not need to make it. So at the same time, I remember the last major buy round, I had a couple of bludgeons. I think Dill Brown was one of them early on in the round who scored really poorly. And I had I think it was like Tracy and I had Dill Brown. They both scored like 20s. And I went, all right, this has gone bad very quickly. So I thought, I don't want to play these guys. So I made extra trades. So just stay flexible through the round. And I said, if you're going really well, you might not need to make too many trades this week and wait till next week. But on the flip side, if you're going poorly in the first few games, you might want to pull the trigger on a few more trades. Alrighty, Teamless Tuesday. Sharkies, KL Iro out with a pec injury. The start of a lot of bad injury news for Supercoaches this week. Ronaldo Mulitalo, he returns from suspension on the wing. Mwene Hiroti, he comes in at centre. A bit on Hiroti later on in the show. At the Dragons, Christian Tuiplotu, he's out with a hamstring injury. Lasted about 20 minutes into his return. Tyrell Sloan, he returns on the wing. Lawson, he retains his spot on the wing as well, which is great news. And with Sloan, a right-wing player, at least has been for the Dragons, Lawson will be on that left edge as well, which is important for him. Hamish Stewart named on the bench for the Dragons. The Nuff, Tui Simpkins. We got any Tui Simpkins owners here? Dezzy, you are?
I'm not, no.
Tui Simpkins, many people bought him as a Nuff. I know the Spy's one of them. The Spy's off tonight. Spy started last week very angry about his Oztag games getting called off. I think they listened to the podcast and they gave him an early doubleheader this week. So he said he apologised to the SC Playbook listeners that he wasn't going to be on this week, but the big fella needed to get his run and he's charging in Supercoach too. I think he's about almost top 1,000. So going well. But yeah, Tui Simpkins named on the bench as he's enough, but he'll be a player for them this week. Tommy Turbo returns at fullback for Manly, as does Jason Saab. Lehigh Hopewade out injured. Dezzy, you have Hopper?
Yep.
What are you thinking with Hopper at this stage, mate? Because he's the third most traded out player at 663k, and he's got a break-even of 111. Obviously, misses this week due to the 10-day concussion protocol. Has the buy in round 16, then a buy in might be around 19 or something. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking he's probably a sell. So he's playing 2 games of the next 5. It's just not enough over this period. Albeit they're 2 pretty good games, I think. I think Manly play they might play South and Parramatta or something along those lines. So he could go well, but it's a lot of money to have sitting there. So I think there's some pretty good centre wing upgrades that people can go for, like Isaako for one. He's going to make a hell of a lot of cash. Farnworth just keeps scoring tries. There's plenty of good guys there. Kiraz as well. You can use the money.
I don't know if it's far from cut and dry, because I think people that bought him in last week, for the most part, will be thinking I'm bringing in a season keeper in the elbow, whether it's at fullback or on the wing. I think if your numbers are looking okay this week and you've got 13 and you're not too stressed, or 14, I think you could definitely look to hold. As I said, he comes back for the Tigers, and then the Bunnies in round 18. The Bunnies, they'll be without Latrell Mitchell. So the bye in round 19.
Then he's got Melbourne, Bulldogs, Roosters. You could bring him in.
Raiders.
And Raiders. Yeah, it's not looking that great, is it?
The draw post that round 19 bye is very tough.
Very rough.
Melbourne are in Melbourne as well. Into the Doggies, into the Roosters,
I think he's a sell, to be honest. I think you really needed him against Newcastle and Titans.
Yep.
I think those were 2 games where he would have tonned up, and it would have been like 4 tons in a row. People would have been laughing, but that's Supercoach. You got to take the good with the bad, and that's the bad. You got to cut your losses sometimes. Yeah. I sat here last week. I called him a keeper. Told everyone to bring him in. It changes that quick on a dime.
And he's also one, right, that could be a keeper. It's not like a Jacob Kiraz, for example, or like a Cleary, or like a best in a position, or whoever it might be, James Tedesco, where you go, they're a keeper and you won't be trading him out. I mean, Cleary's different with Origin, obviously, but when it's a player at Leo, who, as you said, it could be a Kiraz, or it could be a Garrick, or whoever it might be, it makes it a little bit different. Jazz Tavanga on the bench for me, there could be a late change as per last week. At the Knights, KP on Origin duties, Fletcher Sharp, he's been named at fullback, where he went bonkers last time out. Jackson Hastings at halfback returns to the squad after a long layout there. Sammy Walker, the big one, boys, returns at halfback for the Roosters. This is huge, and it shouldn't have caught me by surprise, but it did. I just thought they'd go Sammy Walker and Sandon. Hugo Savala retained in the halves, named at 5'8", Sandon Smith off the bench. Rando, what are your thoughts? The one thing I will say about this, initially I was like, shit, that hurts. Sandon Smith, he's owned by 80% of the top 10% of overall ranked Supercoach teams, and he's owned by 87% of the top 1%. So for the most part, we're in it together. What are your thoughts?
This is a tough one. Sam Walker returned last week, first game of footy, only played 40 minutes in New South Wales Cup. So I can see Sandon Smith being a late inclusion here at 5'8", and then Sammy Walker maybe off the bench, or Sam Walker starts. They get off to a good start against the Knights, and then they bring on Sandon Smith. I don't see Sam Walker playing the full 80. At all. I think that Sandon Smith will come at some point onto the field, I think at halftime, but I thought it would make more sense for Trent Robinson, the Roosters, to put him on in that second half stint and finish off the game when you got teams fatigued. That's when Sam Walker plays his best football off the cuff. So only 40 minutes into New South Wales Cup, I just don't think he's match fit, and I find starting him first half and then taking him off second half is a weird play.
I think you're right. Now that you mentioned, we've had big day today, Matty and I. We had the Bloke at the Bar podcast today because of the public holiday yesterday, so that was about 4 hours long, straight into this one. But you're right. I think 40 minutes in Cup, Sandon starting the halves, Sammy comes on at whatever stage, and then with Connor Watson out, short on a number 9, Sandon shifts to number 9.
Yeah,
it'd make more sense for 1 week, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And the fact that he's played Iulu, and this is not a crack at Iulu, but I would have thought Sandon Smith would have played 9.
Surely,
and been the starting 9. Yeah. So I think that rotation makes more sense. That Sandon will probably be a later start. So I wouldn't pull the trigger on Sandon Smith straight away. I'd wait probably an hour before kickoff. They won't tell you 24 hours. They'll tell you an hour before kickoff where he's actually going to play, and then pull the trigger. So whatever you're doing on a Saturday afternoon, I know it's a glorious day in Sydney, just make sure you got the alarm set for Saturday 4:30, because that's when we'll probably have a clear idea. Because that just doesn't make sense to me.
All right. You've taught me off the edge, mate. I feel
You're
better
welcome.
about that now.
That's all good. Anytime
I
to
think
take
you're,
off the
I think
edge.
you're right. So, yeah, I mean, keep an eye on Sandon Smith, obviously. You wouldn't sell him this week anyway. He's going to be a number for you, but it's big moving forward as to the fact that Savala is there probably suggests that maybe they want to try out Walker and Savala.
Yeah. Maybe it's Robbo just foreshadowing, going, hey, super coaches, this is how it's going to look like in the future. Probably not this week, but in the future, this is probably
I
going to be
reckon
the team.
Robbo will be looking out for us.
Oh, he loves Supercoach. He always talks about it all the time.
Never
all
shuts
the
up
time.
about it.
Every time.
Mo Taulagi, he returns on the wing for the Cowboys. Justin Paulo is out. Hammer is on origin duties for the Dolphins. Jake Averill at fullback. Max Plath is injured, potentially long term. A bit of a worry about that one there. Potentially an ACL, I think it might have been. So not confirmed. Still waiting scans, but fingers crossed for Maxi Plath. Cody Walker out at the Bunnies. Humphreys and Sullivan in the halves. Stephen Crichton on origin duties means Jacob Kiraz moves to centre and Blake Wilson comes in on the wing. Jacob Preston returns from suspension. Dezzy Creek, I know you're a big fan. Currently the 17th most traded in player this week. Jacob Preston, 720k, a 75-point average. Is he on your radar?
Probably to end the season, yeah. But not in the short term. The Bulldogs have the bye next week, I believe, so you can wait till after that. But yeah, he's definitely in my plans for probably top 18.
I think if your numbers are decent next week and you're feeling pretty comfortable with even with potential outs, you potentially could go this week and like get the jump on people. But as you said, I think with next week looking a bit iffy, probably worth waiting a week. Alrighty, topic for the show: hold or sell Nathan Cleary. Whether you are, whether you aren't, whatever it might be, you then we're going to look at potential halfback replacements. So Nathan Cleary at 764k, he'll miss round 15. Round 16, we're expecting him to be rested for the trip over to New Zealand. They have a 3-day turnaround from the Perth Origin clash. So he'd miss round 15, probably 16, plays the Doggies in round 17, and then in round 18, he has Origin as well. So likely to miss 3 of the next 4. What are your plans, Dezzy?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be selling him to Hughes, not this week, but next. I thought Hughes looked really good. He obviously got over his barley belly that he claimed to have the week before when he popped out 30 for you. But yeah, he was all over it. I said to you pre-game, I thought he was going to have a big game. I thought it was going to be a Grant and Hughes sort of game, and Pappenhausen and Munster would sort of take a back seat. That seems to be what happens with Melbourne. They share it around a bit. It just reeked of a big Hughes game. Spice said it on the podcast as well. The short ball to Eli Katoa, and it's exactly what they're going to do over and over. They're just going to keep doing that combination. Teams just struggle to defend against it. He was inches away from going about 160 as well, being held up over the line for a hat trick. So yeah, I think Jerome Hughes is looking nice and primed to be picked up next week.
Yeah, I said last week on the podcast I do some dark things to see Jerome Hughes hit Eli Katoa short for a try. Trust me, to the listeners and viewers out there, you don't want to know what those dark things are. Off the back of that, I was very, very happy. And I couldn't quite blow up when he was held up over the line for that Hattie because it was very joyful to watch. Turned out he had barley belly the week before. Didn't train all week, was in doubt to play. So anyway, not to worry. Rando, what are you thinking with Nathan Cleary, mate?
This one's a tough one. Obviously, I brought him in last week, so very hesitant to sell, but it kind of makes sense. Part of the idea of buying him in was hoping to God that the Panthers would be in a position where I think they still need to win. They can only lose their last 3 games of the season. Otherwise, they're out of the 8, but this top 8, it's a different situation to that 30 pass score that some teams have to score. I was still hoping he'd make the trip over to New Zealand, even though it is a tight turnaround. The Doggies is also going to be a very tough game as well. Defensively, it's going to be massive, but he kind of needs to step up for that game. So I was hoping a 16-17 play, but geez, after last week's performance, I'm just not too sure. He's not getting the try assists anymore. I think, Dezzy, you mentioned in your article last week that kind of tipped me over the line. He got 87 without a try assist, and he was only 1 try assist away from a ton. That kind of was what made me force the trade. But yeah, I'm just not too sure what to do with him. I just got to keep... every time I go to sleep, I just have it above my head. This is not the same Penrith side. Yeah. All we think about is that Penrith are going to come out and explode. So for me, I'm looking at Katoa. I'm looking at DCE. DCE, obviously 60-point average. He looks tasty down that right edge with a great couple of matchups as well. I think he might be good, particularly at a bargain price of 461k. It frees up a lot of cash for me, so I don't mind that at all.
He's got a point to prove, that's for sure.
I don't think he's coming back into the Queensland side, but he has got a point to prove.
He's got a point to prove.
Because, I just don't know how the hell they lost that game against Newcastle.
How can you trust Manly right now, though? You just can't. It's really hard to bring in DCE. At that price, though, there's basically very minimal risk of getting him. But obviously, back in the day, he was a big part of my winning season. I know Timmy Moody as well, 2021 champion, I believe. He also got on Cherry Evans at the right time. So if you do get on him for a good run, he can go absolutely ballistic over like a month or two and average, close to 100. But he just hasn't looked like doing it this season.
Well, he turned up twice in the first 3 rounds,
Yeah.
but basically since he announced he's leaving Manly, it's just been a shit show.
Yeah.
I see merit in both of them. And look, I'll be selling Nathan Cleary. I don't want to hold that much money on the bench for that amount of time. Maybe he backs up and goes to New Zealand, but even if he does, to match up against a Warriors side who will lose next to nothing through Origin. Obviously Barnett's gone for the season, but didn't worry him against the Sharks. I just think he's a sell. You're cashing that money, pardon me, and you can utilise it better elsewhere for the next month or so. No guarantee to back up round. Like if they lose to the Warriors and then they lose potentially to the Doggies in round 17, like they might not need to back him up or choose not to back him up after Origin 3 either. So there's all these factors. I did halfback roulette 2 weeks ago with a plan to go Cleary to Nicho Hynes this week, which I am keen to do still, and that's my plan. But boys, I see merit in Cherry Evans and in Isaiah Katoa this week as well. At Cherry Evans, he said, Dezzy, 461k, he's dirt cheap. It's not going to go badly for you, but there is huge upside with Ches, who, as I said, he has scores of 130 and 105 already this season. Titans this week without Fodawaker and Tino. Into the bye, then he has the Tigers at Brookie, the Bunnies at Brookie. As you said, a point to prove off the back of getting dropped by the Maroons. I think there's a serious play in going him. And the other one there in Isaiah Katoa. So, averaging 68 this season, he's got a low score of 42 in round 4, a second lowest score this year of 52. He's only scored 1 try all year, had 1 line break all year, base of 28, pretty good for a halfback. Those numbers are outstanding. The Dolphins are coming into red-hot form. You mentioned Hughes, Dezzy, which I think will be a popular play next week. You're then going a week further of, like, you don't have Cleary this week anyway. Is there any temptation to go the DCE or Katoa play early, or is in your head you're going, nah, Jerome Hughes is my man for 2 to 3 weeks till we probably get Cleary back post-Origin?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a temptation there. Katoa, I don't think he's cracked 100 this season.
Don't think he has.
Despite playing really well.
Got 99 not out last week.
Not out. So he's been bloody close, but it just doesn't seem like he has the next level to go like 130, 140, which we know Cherry has. So I think I know a lot of people will be bringing in Isaako or Farnworth as well. Isaako, you kind of have it covered a little bit. If you want to fade Katoa, I don't know about double or triple stacking. Everyone's got Farnworth now. I don't know about triple stacking Dolphins. They're still a bit hot and cold. They're obviously really hot right now, but they could just go super cold. They're one of those teams, kind of like Manly. That's why it's really it's much safer to just go for Jerome Hughes or Jamal Fogarty, who are playing the 2 best teams right now.
Would you consider Fogarty next week over Hughes?
Probably not over Hughes, no. I don't think Fogarty's got the sort of 150, 160 ceiling of Hughes. He's just mega solid. Just the Isaiah Katoa sort of player who's just going to crack 60 probably most weeks with just a try assist or 2. But yeah, Hughes has the running game that all these guys don't have.
Rando, you mentioned a potential Cleary sell this week. How do you feel about the prospect of waiting for Jerome Hughes next week, or you said you mentioned maybe going early on, not early, but a DC or Katoa this week? I mean, we'll get to trades later, but what are you leaning towards at this stage?
I'm just taking a look at and taking all stocks. I think the draw favours DCE for the next 3 weeks. Titans, obviously the bye. I've got coverage for that, so that doesn't bother me. But Tigers and into Souths at home, such big games that I think that Manly are going to really go ballistic at. Tom Trbojevic, I don't know what state he's going to be in when he runs out in the Gold Coast, but hopefully at that point, I think that right side is still where the Seagulls, that's where all their attack is going. So for me, I think DC got confirmation there. Katoa, the beauty of him, he shows up on the left and the right and sets up tries that way as well. So he's a great option, and we talked about him not getting a ton. Well, fuck, if Heath Mason can score a ton at halfback against the Cowboys, then fucking surely DCE is a chance there. So, DCE, Katoa's a chance there. So I think I might go for the cash grab and go DCE. I think that's where I'm leaning to at the moment. I don't know about Hughes at the moment. I'm just not too sure. Obviously a great game, 136, but am I chasing those points when he hasn't had as big an impact as well?
Yeah, look, for what it's worth, said my with the fullback roulette's a bit different, but I think the play is Cleary to Hughes next week. If you're doing it this week, I think the draw does come into it. And as I said, I think the draw for Cherry Evans and Manly is quite good over the next few weeks. I don't think Katoa or Cherry Evans are keepers. I think whoever you're getting for like a month and then moving to Nathan Cleary post-Origin anyway. Yep. So because, like, if it was season long, I'd probably go, all right, it is Katoa, but as a short-term play, I think DCE at the cheaper price as well. I think he's the play. Yep. So, but yeah, for what it's worth, I think Hughes next week is the player with some potentially big scores incoming. Guys, it's happened. We've had another rate cut, and it's time to get excited if you aren't already, which you should be. It means a few different things for our listeners. It could be the perfect time to refinance and save money on your loan, or if you're looking to get into the housing market, it'll allow you to borrow more to kickstart your property journey. Reach out to Paddy and his team at Mortgage Choice SCW and start asking a few questions to find out just what it means to you. Normally, that'd cost you $129, but mention SC Playbook when you reach out, and it's completely free of charge. That is a 100% discount, not bad at all. To do so, flick the team a message on Instagram at mortgagechoice_SCW, or give them a buzz on 02 9521 1611, wherever you are in Australia. All right, Rando. My voice is in all sorts, coming off a cold if you hadn't worked that out already. But as the Spy would say, a bit of a flu pod and pushing through it. Mate, take the reins, Rando stat deep dive.
Absolute hero. Well, we're looking at the top 5 matchups for this week. So I'll count them down from 5 down to 1. We'll start with number 5 here. Dylan Lucas up against the Roosters here. The Roosters, they are 5th for points leaked to left second rowers, whilst the Dylan Lucas, he is obviously in second for most points scored by left second rowers. So I really do like that matchup to start. We go into number 4, and Moini Hiroti. I don't know how many people have kept him or held him after he originally did a little hamstring injury there. But here's a great matchup here against the Dragons. He gets that left centre spot back, which he will absolutely thrive in. I think there's only been one game this year, and that was a game that Hiroti left the field early against the Tigers, that a left centre hasn't scored for the Sharks. The Dragons, they're 3rd for points conceded to left centres this season. Herbie, of course, turned up last week, but on top of that, there's been a 96 as well there for the left centre in Shibasaki. So great news there for Hiroti holders.
I'll jump in on you there quickly,
Yeah, go
Rando,
for it, mate.
Because Hiroti's on my radar.
He is.
Interesting to see your numbers about Hiroti, going up against the right edge centre of the Dragons, because it's Moses Sully, who is one of the best defensive centres in the NRL, or has been in recent years. He has switched edges this year with the arrival of Val Holmes. He hasn't looked comfortable all year to me, and those numbers really back it up. So Moene Hiroti at 391K, 3 games at centre this season. You sort of mentioned how well he'd been going. Averages 77.7 points per game with 44 in base. So, he becomes a genuine cash grab option there that, could sit in your team for a while, depending how long Hiro is out with that pec injury. I think he's a genuine play, especially, I know he's a lot more expensive than Nathan Lawson at 200k more, but he's very playable in your team every week. So, yeah, I think he's one to really consider. Carry on.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely one great matchup there. I mentioned Katoa before, but Katoa, he comes up against the Cowboys here. We had Hughes, he had 136. We had Mason the week before score 100 against the Cowboys as well. The Cowboys are first for points conceded to right halves in the last 5 weeks, and Katoa in the last 5 weeks, he's been the second top scoring halfback. So if you are looking for a right half, Isaiah Katoa, fresh off a 99 last week, definitely a great option there. We go into number 2, and Ruben Garrick, he comes up at right centre there against the Titans, who are first for points conceded to right centres this season. Really do like Ruben Garrick here. If you look at his stats at Cbus, in his last 5 games, he has scored 70 or more in 4 of those games. We look at right centres up against the Titans. Katoni Staggs turned up last week. You keep going through them again as well here. Timoko had a day out as well. Gagai had a day out too. So some big scores that we've been seeing putting on. Stephen Crichton and Magic Round also tonned up too. So blokes who don't usually ton up at right centre are tunning up against the Titans. So expect Ruben Garrick to go big.
If Katoni Staggs is tunning up on you, you've got issues.
Well, yeah, I know. I thought Stephen Crichton as well, who, great player and all, but not a Supercoach relevant player by any means. And the last one, my favourite one, and Matty will love this, Keon Kalamatangi up against the Dogs. A great matchup for him in this game. The Dogs, they're 4th for points conceded to front rowers. The Rabbitohs are first for points scored to front rowers off the back of Keon's back-to-back tons. So if you're looking for a captain option, Keon could be the man once more, because he will be released for the Origin. I know a lot of people say he's 19th man at the moment, but he should be released for this game.
Yeah, huge captaincy option, Keon, after just about every popular captaincy option. In fact, all of them flopped last week in terms of sub.
Yeah.
I think of the populars, Terra May was the top with 80. Everyone else, Pappenhausen was about 75. Cleary was about 60. No one went well, so there you go. Rando, did you have Kiraz stats or not?
I did always have the stats, man. What are you talking about, mate? What are you doubting me for?
We do a cricket podcast together. I put you on the spot the other week and it rattled the shit out of you.
We talked about this in the green room, though. You do usually rattle me on the cricket podcast,
I
though.
do.
Yeah, just out of nowhere.
Hit us with some Kiraz magic.
Huge moment here. Kiraz going over to right centre now. Last season, played right centre in 8 games, averaged 70 in the position. In 2 of his last 3 games, he's tonned up. He scored 120 against the Broncos at Suncorp in round 21. And in the Roosters game, where they didn't do all too well, the Dogs in that one, I think it might have been Pissing Down in Gosford as well, scored 100 without scoring a try too. So some big scores there. He's also scored 115 against the Titans and Belmore earlier in 2024 too. So if you're worried about Kiraz being moved over there to right centre, no need to fear. He can still score points for you.
He's a gun no matter where he goes. As you mentioned, of course, the bye for the Doggies next week, so potentially worth waiting on Kiraz. But as I said, the numbers at centre are pretty bloody good.
Yeah, they don't concern me at all. I think he'll probably get a few less runs, but I think it almost it gives him a little bit more time and space in the attacking sort of spread that they do. I think it maybe it wasn't getting to him a little bit on the weekend. He could have had a few more tries, that's for sure. But at centre, he can almost, use the fend a bit and drag people over the line. He almost did. So I'm not too worried about it. I think he can still score tries just as easily from centre. And I think I'll be bringing him in.
Yeah. Up against Jack Wyden this weekend as well. And Jack Wyden, makeshift centre, can have his difficulties in defence. So
Jeez, a bit harsh on Jack White at centre.
Oh, really? Sorry.
Jack's a gun defensive centre.
Great. Yeah, sure.
Stats in the bin, mate. How dare you?
He left the Raiders 2 years ago, mate. Give it up.
That's true. Alrighty, guys. Most traded in players for the week. Kiraz is number 1, who we've spoken about. Number 3, Jermaine Isaako, 625k. A break even of -6, 132 points last week. Dezzy, we had a question on it. We had it up on the big screen last week, and we didn't get to it. And you blew up at me after the show. You go, why didn't you ask the Isaako one? I was going to say it was a buy, and I'm not just flagging that for you, but he did. He did indeed turn up. Are we chasing last week's points, or is he still a buy?
No, he was a buy last week. We didn't touch on it, but he's still a buy. We've said it a little bit earlier in the podcast, the Finns are in form. They just are. They're putting points on teams quite easily, especially in second halves. They seem to really run over the top of teams. So I think Isaako, he's always been the king of, junk time tries.
Yeah, yes.
So I think you'll find that he'll probably score a couple of tries in the final 10 minutes of a few games over the next month or two and slap up a few more tons. That's just what he does. He's getting into his work. And then once he starts, knocking out a few 20s and 30s again, that's when you jump off him.
Tell you what, he loves the Cowboys, particularly at Queensland Country Bank. In both games he's played against them there, hat-tricks in both. So he's scored 151, 118 in those two games too. So he will go bonkers probably for this matchup.
Speaking of junk time, Farnworth, back to his current exploits, 79th minute try and a 56-6 win over the Dragons.
15 seconds left.
It isn't a betting podcast, but if you called up a live bet in 6 of the last 7 games, it would have hit after the 60th minute. You called up, said Herbie Farnworth, anytime try scorer, he scores. He just finds a way after the hour mark. Like he turns into a wolf.
Tough watch for non-owners.
Yeah.
Boys, Nathan Lawson, number 5 most traded in at 198k, a break even of 0, 33 point per game average, just 19 points on the weekend. Little torn on this one as a cash generator. Not so much cash generator, Dezzy. It's freeing up cash because he lands on what we think will be the left wing for the Dragons. It's a good spot to be. Obviously, Val Holmes out this week. His bottom dollar, there will be tries out there, I think, but there's also probably some job security issues. Finu's named on the extended bench I saw this week as well. What are your thoughts?
I think if you need the cash, which I actually got him last week or this week, it was my only trade. I just wanted a huge war chest to work with this week. I think if you need the money, he's perfectly okay to get. I think the 19 points that he knocked out on the weekend is probably massive unders. I think he looks more like a 40 average sort of player. He just had about 4 or 5 errors. I don't think he's going to do that every week, and he looks like he can bust a tackle. He looks like he's a tackle buster to me. It just wasn't his game. It wasn't his night. I think he'll be 40 average sort of player.
Yeah, I think there's job security issues. There are low scoring issues. Granted, they're not going to get beaten 56-6 every week. If Tupou was there and Lawson was on the right wing, I'd fade him happily. On the left wing, though, I think there'll be some tries there. Rando, I am putting you on the spot now. There's probably some stats around that left edge Dragons or what? Yeah,
big time. It's obviously the top try scorer for them this season has been the left winger, scoring in 50% of games as well. So he's definitely one to take a look at. In terms of point scoring potential though in Supercoach, the Dragons left wing is actually last out of all the left wingers. So he hasn't been scoring.
In the NRL Supercoach this year?
Yeah.
Despite the tries?
Despite the tries coming their way.
And that was with Tupou.
So I think it was last 5 weeks. Last 5 weeks has been
right.
last.
Yeah.
So
last 5 weeks.
Last 5 weeks has been an absolute no-go for left wingers. But it's a tough one. And Nathan Lawson, I mean, I question his point scoring. I bought him. He was my round 1 Nuffy buy. So I was actually surprised that he was still on my team when I saw it come up on Friday when he played. But yeah, I just think it's a bit of a tough gamble, especially Val not being there in left centre as well. It's going to be pretty tough for them to see it. And Flanagan on the right edge now, not on the left. Correct.
That is the big impact, as you said. Like when they were humming earlier in the year, that left edge, Flanagan was on the left, so it has changed a fair bit. So he could also be one of them blokes who scores a try at the line break and scores 40. So
100%.
Yeah, I'm a bit wary. I'm tempted if I do need to free up cash, pending which way my trades go, of going a little Hirode play instead. But a little bit to decide there. Number 12, Jaden Campbell, a 99 break-even, 70 point per game average. Last week he looked like a must-have, Dezzy. This week he's coming off a 27-pointer, looked potentially a little bit injured. I know NRL Physio has got a little bit on Jaden Campbell on biz and break-evens for us later on. I was very keen on him last week. I'm still keen this week, but 27 has dampened things a little bit.
A little bit. They're always just going to come in that position, though. There's very few 5'8", probably only Monster who can avoid knocking out a 20 every now and then. But yeah, I still think he's shown it off over the last 2-3 years that he's a genuine keeper. he's probably best, maybe second best in position to Munster this season. He's definitely, you know, he's really teetering on the edge of being a top 18 final sort of player. I think that was just an outlier, to be honest. I think he'll come out, probably score a decent score against Manly. I think he always does. I think last time when we beat them at Brookie last year when Turbo went 150, I think you'll find Jaden Campbell still knocked out a pretty solid Supercoach score.
Okay.
I was at the game. He was still busting tackles. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes big.
I'll be listening out to Physio's analysis of any potential injury concerns that he's carrying, but I'm with you in that sense. Provided he's fit and good to go, like, it was an outlier for sure. Non-injury impacted games last season, 14 games, his lowest score was 38 all year. And then his lowest score prior to his score on the weekend this year was 46. So I do think it was an outlier, and I'm with you. If he's fit and good to go, I think he looks like a pretty good buy this week. On the most sold list, we've spoken about Lehigh Hopewade boys. Number 7, Zach Hosking, 527k, 57 point per game average. On the bye this week with the Raiders, who cover, obviously, the next mini bye round. They cover round 18. Hosking, with Hudson Young, the Raiders play 2 days after Origin 2. I'd be very, very, very surprised if Hudson Young backed up for that. I think Hosking plays 80 minutes. I think he'll play 80 minutes in round 18, if not 80, 65 to 70. I think he's a hold until after round 18, then a sell, Dezzy. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm definitely holding him.
Rando, are you a Hosking owner?
Yeah, I'm a Hosking owner. I will be holding him.
And I'll throw 258 into the next one. Number 9, Cam Munster, and number 11 on the most sold, Dylan Brown. Munster's at 709k. 73 point per game average with a 135 break even. He will miss round 15, round 18, much like Nathan Cleary, and if he doesn't back up post Origin 2, he'd miss round 16 as well. Not ideal, especially with that big break even and price to drop. Probably is a season keeper, but he's scared not to own him, not really. Dill Brown going the other way, 517k, 59 point per game average, an 85 break even and a 3-round average of just 37. Rando, you've got both?
I had Munster. I sold Munster for Cleary last week.
Okay.
So I'm going to be selling Brown this week. I just, you said the 3-round average there, 37. It's just not working out. You know, Moses coming back in. Usually we saw Brown's score go up with Moses there, but I think it's been a different Mitch Moses that we've been seeing the last, at least this season. And Dill Brown just not getting as much of the share of receipts and making those line breaks and having that left side humming. So for me, I think I'm going to have to get rid of Dill there. I think it's Iongi as well, taking those try assists off him too. That's been a bit of a hamper.
You got Munster, Dezzy?
I do, yeah. I own both of these guys. I think I said last week Dylan Brown was my preference to sell. I think teams have also just worked him out. He's got one step, one move back on the inside, and he's just not getting through the line as much this year. So I think he's probably a sell. You're not getting much value, though, are you? Selling him at 517k.
You're not, but it could get worse with that. The score from the weekend in his rolling average, he's not looking great. He misses the next 2 major bye rounds.
85 BE, I don't really want
Even
that.
like the 59 average, geez, speaking of junk time, I've owned him all season. He's had some junk.
Easily jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can make a case to sell both of them. Which one, though? Who's the priority? Put it this way, if Dill Brown, we don't know if he's challenging or what the plan is at the judiciary. If he misses round 16, well, he's in the same boat as Munster anyway, so just sell Dill Brown and hold Cam Munster, but yeah, not ideal either way. Guys, I've spoken about it a few times already in recent weeks, but the SC Playbook community and members meet-up is happening at the Roosters v Tigers game at Allianz Stadium at Moore Park on Sunday, July 6th. We are well under a month until that one. Want to get as many people there as possible in the exclusive space at the American Express Garden, the stadium's premier beer garden. 50% off tickets to subscribers. That is in our WhatsApp community. You can email us at supercoachplaybook@gmail.com. 10% off to the regular community. A link went out on our socials again last week. It's also in our YouTube description. Guys, want to get as many people to that as we can to talk some Supercoach, watch some footy, have a beer, have a water, whatever it might be. You can get as many tickets as you want. So jump in and come along to that one. Dezzy, trade and skipper plans. Hit us.
Trade plans will be Gutho to Teddy, Tamale, who's injured, out to Isaako, and final trade will be Lehigh Hopewade to Jacob Kiraz.
Very nice.
Skippers, I think I'll be chucking a VC on on Teddy, and I'm almost tempted to chuck the C on Kiraz after seeing how many offloads he threw.
7, I think.
Yeah. Or I might chuck it on Isaako after hearing Rando's stats about hat-tricks. So, yeah, it's going to be one of those two guys. I'll probably captain an outside back this week.
Interesting. Rando?
For trades for me, still pending on who I'm going to take out for Dylan Brown. But he's definitely probably on the outer. I'll probably take Nathan Cleary to DCE, and I've already made the move. Kiraz in, Tamale out for me. For captains and vice, I'm going to put the C on Keon Kaloa-Matangi. Against the Dogs, it's going to be a massive game there for the Rabbitohs. And as I mentioned, the Bulldogs not too good at conceding points to the props. And a VC, a bit of a curvy one, but Garrick VC.
Yeah.
I like him. Back in this matchup.
Stats, mate.
Back in the stats. It's against the herd, which, is my motto this season. But, I'm going to put a VC on Garrick and see where that lands. And hopefully don't have to play Keon.
Very nice. Matty?
Yes, I'm going to trade out Cleary for DCE, I think. And, Tamale out for Herbie. I think I'll just stick with 2 trades this week.
Yep.
My captain is going to be Keon, but I'm going to throw the vice captain on Drinkwater just to see how he goes against the Dolphins. That game could be seriously anything. Who knows?
That's 60 to 61, I think.
Yeah.
Got it all over it.
Well, the Titans and Seagulls, that'll be 70 to 68.
Yeah. This could be the highest scoring round of all time. There's only 5 games.
It's a tough week for Skipper. So my trades, I'll be going Nathan Cleary to Nico Hines. I will be waiting and seeing, or at least trying to get some news on Sandon Smith, because if he's starting, I have a full extra number. If he doesn't, well, it becomes a bit of an issue. Regardless, I still think the minutes will be okay in that game for him, especially if he comes on at number 9. But that'll be playing impact. I then have to look at a few things like, I'd love Kiraz, but I think just a little bit cautious around numbers next week. Playing Sandon, the number's still good there, but I think I'm happy on return from injury, as good as he looked, just to wait until after that bye, then get him in. So whether it's a Hiroti, whether I downgrade to, I forget his name, Nathan Lawson, every time. It's a very simple name, almost as bad as Tim Williams. But yeah, potentially Nathan Lawson. Yeah, so at the moment, though, locked in Nathan Cleary to Nico Hines, and then I don't want to have to use too many trades this week. I've said at the start of the season, a lesson from last year, I did want to rip my team around for extra numbers around the major bye weeks, and I'm sitting in that conundrum right now. So staying flexible at the moment. We'll update those trade plans later in the week. Captains, there's a lot of captaincy options this week, boys. It's one of them ones where I'm kind of keen to look at later in the week where people are flocking to. It'll probably be Keon, and you have some good numbers around him, Rando, but it is against the Dogs middles who defend quite well. I guess Max King's out. There's one down, but he's probably the obvious captaincy option. In terms of VCs, where we get a free crack at it with only top 13 scoring players, Fletcher Sharp up in Newcastle, I like at fullback. He was big for me last major buy-round against the Roosters, who have a stack out. Matty mentioned Scott Drinkwater against the Dolphins. There is a ton of options you could go with. So I'm leaning towards a little Fletcher Sharp one this week. Nico Hines against the Dragons with a few out as well. But yeah.
Dragons are decimated. Actually, this does reek of a Hines 150.
Yeah.
I'm going to change my VC to Hines right now.
And see Keon?
No, I'm still going to see... I'll see Teddy. I like bringing in Teddy and just slapping the C on him. He's been my boy for like a decade of Supercoach.
There's
I can't
so
fade
many
him.
good options.
Not too decimated, the Dragons. They just got Holmes out and Sewer.
Injuries, though, and Dylan Egan and Tui Pilotu.
Well, they didn't really have Dylan and Egan from the get-go, and Tui Pilotu's a winger, so let's be honest there. Come on. With the greatest respect.
Hard to argue.
The
Good
Sharks,
mention.
they're going to be bloodthirsty after getting belted by the Warriors.
I'm just super stoked to see Flanagan force his hand and have to start Luciano Leilua, which he hates to do by the sounds of it. He gave RFM the start last week, so I'm keen to see him.
Boys, a few questions before we wrap it up. First one from Anthony. Thoughts on Daniel Tupou as a pod? His scores have been mostly solid all year. Base and power solid. Keeps finding attacking stats, but not a heap of tries. Soft upcoming draw. Dezzy, what are your thoughts on the old veteran?
No, to be honest, frankly, I think there's better options. I think we've named quite a few of them that I'd put ahead of him, to be honest. Even some of the guys like Hiroti and Ramian, You get them for 200k cheaper than Tupou, and they're probably going to score pretty similar. I think Ramien's one that we haven't touched on that much. He's 400k or something. So you only have to pay 15, 20k more than Harodi, and you're getting Ramien, who's been out of form. He's still busting tackles. He'll go over for tries eventually. And like we said, I think the Sharks could dice up the Dragons this week. So Ramien could be a play, I think, over this. Isaako, I prefer a lot of guys to him. Yeah, he's been rock solid. Like last 6 scores, 61, 85, 52, 60, 66, 86. But I'm with you, mate. I wouldn't say he's lacking upside. You're right, there are so many good options. The Sharky Sounds, I got a stat deep dive on both of them boys on beers and break-evens later on, but I think there are better options. We might get Rando on the tools during the week around Sammy Walker's impact on left v right edge as well. So just give him a bit extra work to do for the WhatsApp group and throw something in there later. Next question, Rando from Carly Walls. Who would you prefer to pick between Gagai or Marju? Says she's leaning towards Gagai because I love a goal kicker. What I will say is Jackson Hastings in this week could easily goal kick. Gagai kicked with Ponga in last week, but how long does that last? But yeah, Gagai or Marju? Yeah, I think even Gagai without the T has been going really well. He's got a great 5-round average of 74. Obviously, Greg Marzu, we know what he's capable of. He'll get you 60 in base, regardless, base and power. So he's always very trustworthy. Comes up against this right edge of the Roosters this weekend, which is a great matchup. Dom Young, Mark Nwanga, Neat Tawaze. We saw, the Sharks, they didn't get the win against the Roosters, but they scored all their points basically on that left edge. And I think the Knights will try and find some luck down that side. Hastings is a great ball player. He'll probably find Marzu a bit more than Dane Gagai. So I don't mind the Marzu play. He's been there, done it before. Gagai, if it's because you love him as a goal kicker and he might not be goal kicking, then maybe that's an easy one to Marzu. Gagai's safe but boring. Marju's exciting with huge upside. Absolutely. Bit riskier, but I think Marju's the play there as well. Dane Gagai, they'll continue shouting him out. 13 tackles last week, 12 tackle breaks, 16 runs, kicked goals. At the same time, the Knights' attack sucks. So it's like how many goal kicks is he going to get if he does? But yeah, I like Marju, but not a heap in it for that one. Junior Glover, a question, Dezzy. What to do with Lockie Galvin if you're an owner? He's an awkward price and an unknown role. I thought this was a good question because if he if he's in the starting team in a couple of weeks' time, post that bye when Burton's back in, which I think is every chance, he becomes a good buy at 5'8" as a pod. But owners at the moment, having played limited minutes off the bench. Who's still owning him? That's my question. Junior Glover, mate. Junior Glover. He hasn't played in weeks. He didn't miss that much. Don't hate the player, hate the game, mate. He was scoring well enough at the Tigers before that. He's gone to the team leading the comp. So he's averaging 57. That's with the 36 in 23 minutes last week. So he only missed one game. What would you do if you owned him? 490k. Yeah, I would probably just hold on. There's not that much. If you held on so far, you may as well keep a holding. If you held on that much, there's only one man that I'd be trading to, and that's Jaden Campbell, right? There's a clear upgrade. I guess you could get Metcalf. He's in good form, but I would hold. If you can go Galvin to Campbell in one trade, I'd probably do it. I wouldn't use two to do it, but I'm with you at the price. I think he's potentially buying a few weeks' time, so I think if you can hold off. 15 and 18 he plays as well. He'll play the Rabbitohs, obviously, but obviously Matt Burton, with the biggest stitch-up in rugby league, getting picked 18th man every time for New South Wales, means that he'll play against the Broncos too. So he doesn't miss the Panthers game, he'll just come off the bench. Well, that segues, Rando, nicely into a question from Philip. He bought Burton recently for a 50 and a 91. Does he hold or sell with the... You'd almost call it the 18th man curse. It is the 18th man curse. If you just bought him in as well, then you may as well hold off. You got the round 16 bye. He misses 3 of the next 4 games, and if you're happy with that, then I think it kind of opens up a little bit there. Cowboys, Dragons, Manly, Tigers, that is a great run-in to have Burton in. And surely if you bought him, you kind of knew what you're getting yourself into. The 18th man thing is a bit of a curse, but... for the most part, you would have known that he would have been missing a couple of the games here and there. So I don't mind that draw whatsoever. Yeah, I'd be trying to turn Burton into Jaden Campbell if I could. But yeah, just me. Just you. Right, boys. That'll do us. Rando, you've been big on return, mate. I'll next time you
stink up and go sub 50k overall, I'll get you on.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Hopefully I go big and save on toll money. So I got to stop going bad. I get punished.
Thank you, mate. Dezzy, thank you as always.
Cheers, boys. Fox Sports Labs, I know you're watching. Fix your shit up.
By the way, me and Timmy are not associated with anything that that Dezzy says. Matty is fully agreeing with Des, by the way.
Dezzy's rants have nothing to do with SC Playbook or his anger. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Enjoy your week.